So recently, with all of the rare spawns from the Kanto event, we've all been catching a lot of Pokemon that are normally fairly rare spawns, and with the weather boosting you have the option to catch them at fairly high levels. For a lot of trainers, this raises the question of whether you would be better off using a high-level weather boosted Pokemon or powering up a low-level Pokemon with high IVs. Now, I can't answer this question for you, as it's really a matter of personal preference, but what I would like to do is give you some quantitative data on how much IVs matter in Pokemon Go. So, as with everything in life, we have two things to consider: what is the cost and what is the benefit. The cost of powering up Pokemon comes in candies and Stardust. In a raid, you typically catch Pokemon at level 20, so I'll use that as a baseline. Maxing out a Pokemon from level 20 costs 225,000 Stardust and 248 candies. Maxing out a Pokemon from level 35 costs only 88,000 Stardust and 118 candies. In other words, you could max out 2 high-level Pokemon for the cost of maxing out one level 20, and still have 49,000 Dust and 12 candies left over. Even if we assume you could caught the Pokemon at level 30, you could still save 75,000 Dust and 66 candies powering the Pokemon up. Now that we've covered cost, let's look at benefit. The benefit, clearly, is the increased damage output you get over the course of a battle. In other words, what is the actual performance difference between a perfect Pokemon and one with lower IVs? My experimental method here was to run simulations in PokeBattler using 4 Pokemon of each species, one with perfect IVs, one with 10-10-10, one with 5-5-5, and one with a 0 IV. I then set a full team of each of these Pokemon in order to hopefully rule out some of the random variation due to chance. So what you're seeing here is the result of the Tyranitar battles. The perfect team dealt a total of 4,791 damage over the course of the battle, the 10-10-10 team dealt a total of 4,726 damage, the 5-5-5 team dealt 4,634, and the 0-0-0 team dealt 4,616. As you would expect, the perfect team dealt the most damage. However, the gap is not as big as you might have been expecting. It's definitely not as big as I was expecting. If we take the perfect team as dealing 100% damage, the 67% team dealt 98.64% damage, the 33% team dealt 96.72% damage, and the 0% team dealt 96.35% damage. Now keep in mind that this is just one Pokemon against one raid boss. I then repeated the simulations using Mewtwo with Psycho Cut Shadow Ball, and got 5,364 damage for the perfects, 5,189 damage for the 67s, 5,062 damage for the 33s, and 4,930 damage for the zeros. Once again, in terms of percentages, we have 96.74% damage for the 67s, 94.37% damage for the 33s, and 91.91% damage from the zeros. I repeated this same process for several other top Mewtwo counters, and you can see here a table of how each IV level performed. Overall, we're usually talking a less than 10% performance difference, even in the most extreme cases comparing perfects to 0% IVs. Now, a 10% damage bonus isn't insignificant and certainly worth it to power up high IV Pokemon, but if you have severe constraints on Stardust or candies, you're better off having 2 Pokemon that are dealing 90% of what they could be, rather than having one really good Pokemon and being that guy that brought in Aggron. Do you think this video was helpful? Should I repeat this video for the next legendary raid boss when he hasn't already been out for a week? Would you like to see me go over how much IVs matter for a specific Pokemon against a variety of opponents? Let me know what you think in the comments section below.